guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go to this very entertaining email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy, he is in his mid-50s now, and he shares his story about events that happened like 30 years ago when he was in his early 20s, just starting off in the world, and how he started getting involved with this young, beautiful woman who was 21, who definitely had every red flag known to man. And as you can imagine, guys, it's not going to go very well with his relationship with her. However, his story, his adventure, if you will, there is a lot of teaching tools in this story that will definitely help you guys have to do dating relationships. Okay, things not to do. And many smackable moments in there, which he darn well knows. But also, guys, it's very entertaining and will definitely back up why a lot of you guys simply have your views that you do. Keep to yourselves, keep to your own lives, don't do dating relationships, all that. And you're going to see all the crap that this guy goes through because this woman that he gets involved with is so physically beautiful and can get any dude. And all the stereotypes that go on with gals that beautiful are going to happen here. And this is 30 years ago, so it doesn't make a difference whether it's happening now, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 100 years ago. Human beings are human beings. We do what we do. We respond to what we respond to. Men do what they do and respond to what they do. And the same thing with women. And you're going to see here a perfect example here. So getting into this, and you guys will definitely, and by the way, I will say this real quick. I want you to keep an eye out, or keep your ears ready for the lesson about red flags. Okay, remember I always talk about pay attention to the red flags. You're going to see this here, as well as also pay attention to a girl's family, what they're like, because they're going to influence her. Also, the monkey branching, the cheaters, all sorts of stuff here, and I'll point them out along the way, guys. So it starts off, he says, hello SSM. I've watched your channel for a while now and thought I would share my story for some of the younger viewers. My story is about ignoring the red flags. Many of us have chosen to ignore things that we know are bad for us or think that I'm different or I'm the guy she was looking for this whole time. Do not ignore them. Right there in first paragraph, he's making it clear. And he also should put in, don't be mesmerized by her giant tits. And don't be mesmerized by her heart-shaped ass and her beautiful eyes and that beautiful smile. Add that too. He says, it was the early 90s and I was 23 years old and had been working in sales at a BMW dealership for almost 2 years. I was making good money at the time for my age, and I had a nice apartment, nice car, and was active in the local import car scene. All right, you're a young man on the rise. What could go wrong? Well, you'll see what's about to go wrong. A hot piece of ass comes into his life and he can't control himself. At work, I would be tasked with getting the new sales hires acclimated to the dealership, and they would shadow me for the first week or so. One day, when I arrived, I was introduced to a new hire. She was 21 years old, tall, thin, and maybe the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. And it all goes downhill from here. Right there, the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, 21 years old in her prime. And you're going to see, gentlemen, that she darn well knows it. I'm not talking about a hot girl. I'm talking about a disruptively beautiful woman that made grown men act foolish. I remember going to my friend's house that night and telling him I was working with a supermodel. At the time, I considered myself a mid-level player and had my share of women. But this one was way out of my league. She was recently divorced, first red flag, and was living with her mother at the time. Recently divorced at 21 years old. If that is not a red flag, I don't know what the hell else there is. But it doesn't matter because she's, as he says, physically beautiful. Well, just because she is physically beautiful on the outside doesn't mean that she's beautiful on the inside. And she's in her prime. She can get any dude she wants, and she darn well knows it. She had been married to her high school sweetheart and was looking for a fresh start. Fresh start, translation, a new sucker to mooch off of until she finds an even better person to mooch off of. We hit it off pretty well, and when she heard me talking about going to a car show that weekend, she asked if she could go. You don't bring a chick to a car show. That's for bros. Not some piece of ass, but you wanted to nail her, so you're like, okay. Of course, I said yes, and that night we end up having incredible, you know what, meaning PORN star sex. Well, at least you got something out of it. Bringing a girl to a car show. What the hell, dude? Smack. So that wasn't actually a date, and she was hooking up with you PORN style that night. Okay, that's good you had fun. I'm sure you're wearing protection, which you all should. But this is how she ropes him in, or sucks him in. Needless to say, we started dating, and that's when I learned that she had 3 sisters, and one who was a stripper, another red flag, and the other 2 had multiple children with multiple fathers, more red flags. When we would go out, she was the life of the party and would be surrounded by men. She would always wear very short skirts and was extremely flirty around men. Okay, so quick intermission here. Let's review. She's 21 years old in her prime. She's so damn physically beautiful that literally, like, she walks in a room and everything stops and they stare at her. She's recently divorced at 21. She has sisters that all have children from multiple dudes. The one's a stripper. Do you not see the problem here, guys? Oh, and she also wears short skirts, flirts with everybody, and is always the center of attention. This is not girlfriend material. This is hookup material, where you bring your protection, check your protection, dispose of your protection. That's it. This is not girlfriend material. But tell it to any young guy that has not a whole lot of life experience, and he'll be like, nah, SSM, I'm different. She'll be different with me. I got this, SSM. You old fucker in the car with your sunglasses, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, you will see here. Watch this. I remember my best friend telling me that she's going to be a lot to handle, but I was a confident, good-looking guy, and I thought that as long as she's coming home with me, so I was okay. Dumb, I know. Within a few months, she moved in with me. Smack. The shit guys will do over a hot woman. Move in with you that quickly so she can mooch off you. She knows she has you. You were obviously jumped into a relationship with her immediately after hooking up with her that time after the car show. And now you let her move in. She knows she has you. You're wrapped around her finger, which means now she can go do whatever she wants and find somebody even better down the road, a better prospect, a monkey branch on over to the other tree. And watch this. And we were talking about a future together. Soon after moving in, we were talking about what went wrong with her marriage, and she said, and I quote, "I just woke up one day and wanted something else." Translation, I'm 21, I'm beautiful, wait a second. There are guys lining up down the street to hook up with me. I'm sure I can get a guy with much more resources and give me more, so I'll cut this high school sweetheart to the curb and find somebody else. That's what it means. At work, she would constantly have men asking her out, and most were older and had money. Imagine that. She would flirt with almost all of them, and I would chalk it up to being in sales. Aside from the many things you did wrong, sir, and I know you know this, you should never allowed that shit. You should have called her on it right then and there. Problem is, she knows she has you by the balls. You're wrapped around her little finger. And of course, guys don't call these types of gals out on their BS. She shouldn't be flirting with other dudes and giving out numbers and all that stuff like that. She shouldn't be walking around in short skirts and all that. She's your girl now. That's not cool. Otherwise, she can take her shit and get out. I caught her giving out her phone number a couple of times, and she would say that she was trying to hook them up with her sister. Yeah, sure. Goodbye. Take your stuff and leave. These were pre-cell phone days and before most people had computers, so communication was in person or on a landline. She had one guy in his mid-30s that would always come in and hang around the dealership talking to her, but I didn't want to be the jealous type and brushed it off. That was stupid. Again, you should be checking her. As I tell you all the time, check your girl. But you should have been in a relationship with her to begin with, because this is the last person. This is hookup material, nothing more. All the red flags there about her personality, the marriage, her sisters, all that. One day we were short-staffed and very busy, so I had to work through lunch, and she agreed to run to our apartment for lunch and bring me back some lunch. Well, when she arrived back, she said, "Oh no, I forgot to bring it back." No problem, but a few days later, a friend of mine told me that she had seen her having lunch at a restaurant that day. She left to go get you lunch. That was her sole purpose, and then she forgot. This guy is so mesmerized by the pee, he so has the blinders on that he just will not see what's really going on here. She's obviously doing something else. When I confronted her, she said that when I was headed to lunch, I ran into Robert, the older guy, and he invited me to lunch. and you say no because you have a boyfriend and you're on your way to pick up lunch for your boyfriend. But because she knows that she has that boyfriend wrapped around her finger, she can do whatever she wants and go have lunch with Robert. See the problem, guys, with not checking your girl? And these types have all these red flags, and you try to turn a hoe into a housewife. I actually said that. See if YouTube flags the video. I wasn't a total idiot, and the guy knew we lived together, and I remember that he showed up right after she got back, and he played like he was just dropping by. He is just dying to get in her pants, and she knows this. I was pissed and called the guy and never saw him again, but the trust was lost. The second time we were at a nightclub, and going to a club with her was like showing up in a Ferrari. This guy that I know, he came around and we talked for a few minutes, and after he walked away, and I told her that this guy was more like a friend of me, and we had some problems in the past, and I don't care for him. That don't have anything to do with him. Men should not have frenemies. Women have frenemies. Well, a couple hours later at the club, we were hanging out with some people, and she goes missing, and I find her talking to him at a private table in the back of the club. Of course. More testing, more bullshit, because she knows she can. I was pretty pissed, and we both left. No, you should have left. That's what you should have done. And again, should have broken up with her a long time ago. All these forms of disrespect. See what I'm talking about, guys? Tests. Beautiful women test all the time. And when you fail those tests, there's more tests. We both left, with her telling me that she was just trying to get me to pay attention to her. Another red flag. By this time, I was seriously thinking about ending it with her. I had a few other women that I know would treat me better, but I stayed. Stupid again. Yeah, smack. Yeah, you had other women that would treat you better, because I guarantee you, those same women, you wouldn't put up with the same shit that you're putting up with her. And I guarantee you're doing it because she's so unbelievably physically beautiful. This is what happens. Guys go completely brain dead when they're around a beautiful woman. They can't handle themselves. And you get to be older like me, and you realize it's not worth it. Then one night, she tells me that she is going out with one of her sisters for a G&O. I didn't hear from her the whole night, and when I woke up the next morning, she was not there. We both had to be at work the next day at 11 o'clock, and when I arrived, my sales manager called me into his office and asked me what was going on. I was like, what do you mean? He said that she had come in early and appeared to be beaten up. Uh-oh. I was like, what? He said that he had asked her if I had anything to do with it, and she started crying and said she needed a few days off. It's only a matter of time before something like this happened. He was all ready to fire me until I told him what was going on and that she hadn't come home that night. He gave me the day off too, and I found her at our apartment with her face badly beaten up, UFC style. I was completely rocked by this and was told that she had been assaulted by her sister's male friends in the parking lot of a nightclub. She said that he was grabbing her and trying to kiss her, and when she refused, he got rough and she slapped him. He was drunk and started punching her in the face. Holy crap. Now here's the question. Is this true, or is this complete BS? Take a wild guess, guys. I went nuts and demanded that we go directly to the police. She refused and just wanted to go away. I demanded his name and instantly started looking for the guy. I even contacted a friend who was a police officer, and he even tried looking up the guy, pre-internet. It was driving me insane that a guy would do this. I ended up driving to her sister's house and demanded to know where this guy lives. This was when I knew something wasn't kosher. Her sister seemed reluctant to discuss any of it. I was at the point of tears when she finally told me what she knew. Now listen to this, guys. My girlfriend did not go out with her that night. Instead, she went out on a date with a guy and ended up staying the night, and was woken up by this guy's girlfriend beating the hell out of her. This girl beat her ass and drug her by her hair naked out the back door. Man, I'd like to have seen that. I was stunned and couldn't believe that she would have me driving around like a fool looking for some guy she completely made up. She even led my boss to think that I had done it. This is what happens with these 9s and 10s, because this gal ain't an 8. This girl's a 9 or 10 in her prime, 21. Guys, as far as the eye could see, she could have. And the testing and lies and bullshit and cheating. And the problem is when guys like this, who ordinarily probably with gals that you could say are 7 or 8s, would check them and no BS, They get them a 9 or 10, they can't handle it. And look at all the bullshit that happens. And you know the old hot crazy scale right here. Needless to say, I went home and packed her shit then and there. She was shunned at work and quit the next week. Last I heard of her, she married some rich fat dude and moved out of state. Had 2 kids, then divorced him, and he now has sole custody. The end. So an abrupt ending, but like I said in the beginning of the story, perfect example. So what have we learned here, guys? What have we learned? Red flags. Always pay attention to them, and also educate yourselves about these types of red flags. Like I said before, if her family is a bunch of wackos and trash like her sisters, that's a sign don't get involved with her. If she is smoking hot and is always dressing skimpy and is flirting with other dudes, this isn't girlfriend material, okay? If she got married and divorced that quickly, another red flag. I mean, the list goes on here. Checking your girl, not putting up with BS, testing involved. What happens when you're with a 9 or a 10? And the monkey branching. She's just looking for somebody better. Now, he said in the end that she eventually quit the job and she was shunned at work and everything. Well, given her looks and given how dudes love her, I had no problem, obviously, going to find another job and getting something else just like that and finding some other sucker to leech onto. He said the last thing you heard of her, she married some rich guy. He was fat, but didn't matter. Had a couple kids, but eventually she screwed that up and now has full custody. Big surprise. And now she's probably in her early to mid-50s. And who knows? She could be a 500-pound blimp or she could be a hot 50-something. I don't know. But you don't need this crap in your life, guys. So watch out for those 9s and 10s. And the problem is when guys got to learn to control themselves and not go freaking nuts and not do things they normally do because she's so hot and beautiful. Is it really worth it? But anyhow, guys, good story here. Sir, I appreciate you sending it in. That was definitely entertaining. Obviously, he's wised up. I don't know if this dude ever got married or anything like that. He didn't mention it, but it was a very good story. So lots of good lessons here. And thank the Lord, in the end, he came to his senses and packed her shit up and kicked her out. Good for him. But lots of things we can learn from here, guys. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. And also, guys, if you got a good story like to share, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just be sure to make it easy for me to read. That's a very important thing. Also, if you happen to come across a good article or story you found online, something that'd be good for the channel, you can send that too, include the link. And if it works, I'll definitely cover it later on down the road. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.